Okay, it's just after 4:30 and we're going live, and we've got a live indicator on the Video Pro. And let me see if I can find this broadcast, as is standard operating procedure here. Not popping up yet on my iPad. This was a hastily put together show, and I hope it works. Okay, it's just after 4:30 and we're going live. We've got the chipmunk voice, so I'm going to stop this and restart. So I'm going to say stop booting to see if that gets rid of the chipmunk voice. We shall see. Let's see here. See if I can reload this. I hope it works. Oh, we got the chipmunk voice. Okay, so let's see if I can reload this and see if I can get a clean load. We got the chipmunk voice, so I'm going to stop this and restart booting to see if that gets rid of the let's see here what happens. We shall see. Let's see here. I'm just trying to monitor the show here to see what's going on. Let me know in the chat if that restart helped. Okay, so let's see if I can reload this and see if I can get a clean load. Let's see here what happens. I'm just trying to monitor the show here to see what's going on. Let me know in the chat if that restart helped. Okay, it didn't help. So I'm going to reboot the unit, folks. I'm going to reboot the unit.
Right, we are trying again. I've rebooted the Video Pro. And we're going to see if this restart helped with the chipmunk voice. And let's see what happens. Hopefully folks can let me know in the chat what is going on. Okay, sounds good. So I can hear it through the iPad. Does sound like we fixed that audio problem. Welcome, folks. It is 4:34, and this is a 4:30 show. And I wasn't going to do a show. This was hastily put together. But a couple of things came up. Dudley, who, as you know, has a Day-Date 40 and a Datejust 41, he inherited a money clip. And I've actually had several comments on my money clip video here recently. And so I wanted to talk about that. I also wanted to talk about Bitcoin pumping again all of a sudden. Bitcoin took a little bit of a pounding because some of the politicians attacked it, and being the honey badger, it has now recovered, and it is up about $1,000 today. It's at $10,599, so about $1,000 pump. It was down in the low nines. So the honey badger, it just keeps keeps taking licks and just will not die. They don't seem to be able to kill the Bitcoin honey badger, folks. What do you all think about that? So this brings up our discussion. This is part 3. We've had this discussion before. Money that you put into a luxury item like a beautiful Grand Seiko diver like this is really surplus money, or should be. It should be after you've taken care of all your financial obligations and paid off your home, paid off all your vehicles, paid off any debt you have, and have a nice nest egg invested, and then you start buying some luxury items. Unless, of course, the item is part of your business and how you make money. If you're a YouTuber and you've got to have some props, right, to make some money, that might be a different thing. That's kind of a prop, if you will, a business expense. Even when I was selling cars, I think wearing a high-end watch helped me make deals and so forth, and other deals that I was doing in business, it kind of helped. So, and if you're buying and selling watches and making money on them all, that's more like you're dealing in watches. It's a little bit different than just buying a watch and wearing it for enjoyment. That's really a luxury item. So begs the question, would it make a little more sense to take some of that money that you're putting in a luxury item like that and maybe put some money in Bitcoin? What do you all think? There was a survey done recently. Folks were asked, primarily younger folks were asked, if you had $10,000 and you had two choices, you could leave it in cash for 10 years, cash in the bank, or you could put it in Bitcoin. Which would you do? And like 75% of the respondents said Bitcoin. So that was kind of an eye-opener. Kind of interesting. People don't have a lot of faith in cash holding its purchasing value over 10 years. What do you think about that? I'm new to this channel. Any good feedback on rose gold Bremont? Steve is going to be doing a show on Saturday. I would highly recommend you tune in for that one because he will be happy to talk Bremont. He's a dealer and he has them in stock. I'm not a big fan on rose gold personally. I would rather have yellow gold, so I don't know if they make the same unit in yellow gold or not, but I would go yellow gold. And that brings us to one of the other things we're going to talk about is the gold money clip. See, if you have a yellow gold watch, any of your accessories like a gold money clip will match. Everything will match. You get gold cufflinks, just get yellow gold. Get everything yellow gold and everything will match. A ballpoint pen, you know, a nice DuPont pen, gold, it'll match. You get one thing rose gold and then everything else has to be rose gold. And that's more problematic. It really is, especially if you're buying older and antique items. Like he inherited a money clip from his grandfather, and of course it's yellow gold. So talking about the gold money clip, a couple of things, and this is all coming from experience. I've been using them for many, many years. Just as long as I was wearing Rolexes, going back 40 years, I had money clips. For a long time, I had, and I still have it, I have a sterling silver one that I bought at Tiffany & Company up in New York on one of my New York trips. It's kind of thin, and it can easily get extended, get bent out of shape if you stuff too many bills. When I had this one made, it's nice and thick, and it really holds its tension well. I can even overstuff it with bills. I usually carry about 20 bills in it, a number of them being hundreds. Let's see how many I have in here now, because it varies, but let me just count how many I've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So I've got 17 bills in here now. About the most I will ever carry is 20. About anywhere from 15 to 20 is good for this particular money clip. And so I try to carry that number of bills in here, and it works good. And this is a nice heavy clip, so it stays down in my pocket, doesn't come up out and you lose it, you know. So I like a heavier clip. There's some people that they've got carbon fiber ones now that are very light. They make them out of titanium. Those are lightweight. Some people like a lightweight money clip. I like a heavy one. This is actually a little over an ounce of gold in this money clip, so it's nice and heavy. So that's one EDC item. Then, and I talked to Dudley, and he jams his credit card and his driver's license into the money clip. I don't do that. I just carry the cash in the money clip. For the other items, I have this relatively compact and nice and trim alligator. I wouldn't call it, you call it a wallet, but really it was designed for business cards and ID and credit cards. It's relatively small. And it doesn't have like a bill compartment built into it. It just has these slots on either side. So I carry my credit cards, my ID. I do have one folded up $100 bill in here for emergencies. But other than that, there's no cash in here. Just the credit cards, my IDs, insurance card, things like that, right? I much prefer carrying those in here. And again, it dates back to the early 80s. This is very old as well. It's held up great, carried every day. Bought this at Saks Fifth Avenue. So at least I believe that's where it came from. See if it says here. It doesn't say, but it's, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's where this came from, Saks Fifth Avenue. So, so that I carry all the time. The other thing is the Kent combs, and I've done reviews on these on my channel. Fantastic. A big upgrade from typical combs. And they're really not that expensive, but treat yourself to a nice Kent comb. This is my little rig for my keys for my car, and my house key, one of the house keys, and then a titanium emergency whistle. All right, and this brass key ring, and I can hook this in my pocket so that this doesn't rest down in the bottom of the pocket. I find that to be more comfortable. And then this little titanium multi-tool here, I mean, you can open up a bottle of beer or whatever. You can do different things with it, pry on things. I rarely use it, but it's in my pocket. It's titanium, so it just sits there. These are extremely rare. This is a Victorinox Scientist, which is very trim. But what's key about it is it has a straight out Phillips head, not the one that comes out this way, a straight out Phillips head, and it's got the 10x loop. It's got the 10x loop, so if you have to examine a watch dial or something. So this is the Victorinox Scientist model, extremely rare, extremely hard to get, but well worth it. I bought this one new back when they weren't as hard to get. So I've had this one about 30 or 40 years. All right, so there you go. That's some EDC items. We got that out of the way. And let's check out on the comments here, see if there's anything going on. I'm going to refresh this just to make sure I'm up to date. Okay, so a bunch of people saying hello to each other. Absolutely. Okay, we already talked about Vermont. Okay, I'm British Vermont. Too big. Way overpriced, Andrew in the house. Do you tip or pay service charges, say 12.5%? Steve in the house. I tip heavily, yes. I believe in tipping. If somebody is serving me in some way, shape, or form, a waitress, I'll even tip a busboy sometimes. Now, I don't eat out that often anymore. I used to eat out a lot. I don't eat out that often anymore because I like controlling what's going into my body and cooking my own stuff. But yes, I believe anybody that's taking care of you, serving you in some way, shape, or form, I think it's a very good idea to tip. Yeah. Let's talk Vertex watches. Vertex, there you go. Lewis wants to talk Vertex. And if you want to talk some of these micro brands and some of these unusual watches, again, Steve is having a show on Saturday. It's already scheduled here on the channel. It's an upcoming event. So definitely check that out. And some folks have been saying that they have not been getting the notifications when we go live on the channel. Go and check your settings on YouTube, because just because you've clicked subscribe and you've clicked the little bell, you need to click the little bell. You need to also check your settings for your notifications in YouTube just to make sure that you're getting those notifications the way you want to get them. And they have different types of notifications that you can check off there that you'll get. So make sure that that's all copacetic. And Steve is going to also start working on an email list for his shows so that he'll email people. And also be sure to like the Little Treasury Facebook page, because he also shares on there when he's doing an upcoming show. So hopefully he's going to be a little more organized as far as ways for people to figure out when he's doing a show. I'm sure he'll be a lot more organized than me, because my shows many times are impromptu. I just don't know half the time when I'm going to be doing a show. There was another discussion on one of the forums about a watch to use for dress purposes, and somebody was saying, well, you know, a watch that's 41 millimeters and 13 mils thick is fine for dress. It goes underneath the shirt cuff nicely. And I chimed in, I said, well, it depends. For me, about the max is a 12 millimeter thick watch and about 40 mils in size. That's about the max. This watch, for example, which is 14 mils and thick and 43 point something mils across, no way. There's no way I could wear this as a dress watch. This is straight up a sport watch. Wouldn't even try. Now, that GMT Stunner, when that is on the metal bracelet, that works because it's 39 mils and it's about 12 mils thick. That will work very nicely as a dress watch for me. Now, my shirt cuffs tend to be kind of tight, so your mileage may vary, but I had to chime in and say, it's not it's not the same for everybody. So it depends on your situation as to how trim your watch needs to be to go underneath that shirt cuff. So, let's see. Somebody's wearing the GS SBGN001 this evening. Your GS GMT looks great. There you go. And I'm actually waiting. Moe's straps or whatever he goes by, he's supposed to be sending me a strap to try out, and I haven't gotten it, so that's why I've got the gas bone strap on there. And it's okay. I mean, I'm not a big fan of those kinds of straps, but it's custom made, and they're very high quality straps. So if you're looking for like an option to a NATO strap, something that's a little more high end and a little more interesting. So I'm just not a big fan of NATO straps and any of that kind of stuff, but if you do like that, you might want to look at gas bones and look at the stuff they're offering. And that's one of my titanium flashlights next to it. Just rolled that in just for fun. So watch channels seem to be quiet at the moment. Think people are getting bored with Rolex. Andrew in the house. Hello from Madrid. Carlos is chiming in from Madrid. I'll tell you, I have seen people in some of the forums really exploring options. And I think it's been for a while now, a lot of Rolex people have been looking at Grand Seiko. I've seen evidence of that now for months and months. And I think we might have started it on this channel. I think we stirred up a little bit of action on this channel. And here's somebody, I love my Tudor, black base, steel and gold, Sergio. I would, if you can get out of that, if you can get a good price out of that, I would sell that puppy and get something else. I'd get a Grand Seiko or something, Rolex, something. I would get out of the Tudor personally. That's just me. Spice things up, Craig. We need to talk Tudor, Vermont, Vertex, and other watches. Review them online like you do with the Omegas. Love the channel. I really don't like to talk that much about watches I don't have experience with. I really will leave that for the other people that feel free, that enjoy doing that. And Steve has some of the watches in stock, so he can talk about some of the watches. He can't talk about Tudor. He doesn't have those, but he certainly has Vermont, and he's done shows on Vermont. So I think it'd be better, since he carries 20 lines of watches, for him to do a lot of the other brands. I'm the kind of guy that when I find something that really works for me, I stick with it for a long time. Now, if I find something better, if I find a better watch to do the job than this will be replaced. Okay? I mean, let's say, for example, next year, Rolex comes out with a Submariner and they fix the super case. They put real nice lugs on it like it used to have. And let's say that they put a spring drive movement in it. And they keep it at around, isn't it around 12 and a half mils thick? I'm not sure how thick the current sub is. I think it might be 12 and a half. Anyway, no thicker, right? They keep it relatively thin. Now, if they came out with something like that, I'd be looking hard at it. But the problem is I've also gotten spoiled by the titanium on this. The comfort of this, because of the titanium, is freaking amazing, and it's gorgeous, you know. So I don't know. I don't know if I can go back to steel, to a large steel watch. See, the thing about this GMT is it's 39 mils and it's pretty thin, so it's relatively light for a steel watch. So, but I don't know. I don't know if I could go back to a Submariner the more I think about it. Or a GMT. GMTs are what I usually wore back in the day, mostly GMTs. So it's interesting. There's all that. So Vertex, let me pull up Vertex on the computer here. Switch over here while I do that. I've never even really looked at Vertex. watches. Okay, here's their website, Purity of Purpose. I can tell you right now, that dial on that particular one looks a little busy. Some of these look unnecessarily busy. That one's pretty good. I'd have to see them in person. I really would. And see, these so far don't seem to have, don't seem to come with bracelets. And again, I'm not a big fan of having everything on NATO straps all the time. I just not. I always like a high-end bracelet, personally. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I wonder if Steve carries them. That'd be interesting to know, if because he carries a lot of micro brands. So maybe he carries them. So no feedback at all on Bitcoin, folks. No feedback at all. What do you guys think? What do you think? Is it a good idea to own a Bitcoin? Okay, considering that there are only going to be really about 15 million of these in circulation. The max number they're going to produce is 21 million, but a lot of them have been lost, forever, never to be recovered. And so there's probably only going to be about 15 million of them. And to put that in perspective, there are 36 million millionaires in the world. 36 million is the latest number I've seen. And so that means each millionaire, if the 15 million Bitcoin are evenly distributed, which they're not, even if they were, each millionaire, the max he could have is like a half a Bitcoin. That's it, a half a Bitcoin. So if you've got one whole Bitcoin, you could be in pretty good shape years from now. Now I know Carlos doesn't believe in that, but what do you guys think? Let me know what you think about that. I will wait until Bitcoin plummets when it goes up and down. Well, it goes up and down all the time. I mean, what do you mean wait? I mean, it does it all the time. So do you have a number that you would buy at? Do you have a number you're looking for? Are you looking to buy at 3,000? Are you looking to buy at 2,000? What's funny is, over the years, I've heard people say these kinds of things. I've heard them say, well, I'll buy when it's at $1,000, right? Oh, excuse me. Oh boy. I hate when I yawn like that, but they say, well, I'll buy when it's $1,000. And then it dips down to $1,000. Oh, geez. Siri thinks I'm talking to her. Anyway, so let's say it's at $1,500 or whatever, right? And then they say, well, I'll buy if it goes down to 1,000. Then it goes down to 1,000. Then they say, well, I don't know. I think it's still going down. I think I'll buy at 700, right? And then it goes down to like 800, but then it goes back up to like 2,500, right? And then they're like, well, 2,500, no, I'll buy when it's 2,000, right? Then it goes down to 2,000, they don't buy, and they're still waiting or whatever. And they just keep missing the cycle, right? They just never buy in, and they're just always talking about buying a Bitcoin, one Bitcoin. I remember when it was like $30 and people were like hesitant. They're like, oh my God, it's gone up to $30. I'll wait until it's $20, right? Same thing. And then they miss, and we call them no coiners. They end up owning zero Bitcoin because they're always waiting for whatever they're waiting for. And then when it gets to that, they make some other reason for waiting. So there you go. The definition of procrastinator. So Watch Doctor, what price are you waiting for to buy at? That's the question. I think you do fine with Bitcoin, Craig. Good luck. You're a smart gentleman. Well, we'll see. I mean, I've already done great with Bitcoin. I mean, I've already cashed out, way more than I put in it, so I'm already way ahead. So even if it goes to zero right now, I'm still in good shape. But for some reason, I don't think it's going to go to zero. Watch Doctor wants to buy in the 1 to 2K range. Well, there you go. All right. Well, good luck. Good luck. You may never see that. You might see it, but you may never see it. I'll put it this way. If it goes down to 3,000, I'm going to be buying some more. At 3,000. But I'm not buying any at these levels. The highest I bought, and I bought it live on this channel, was 4,000. I bought one at 4,000 just kind of as a demonstration. And then I sold it for 8,500 or 8,600, something like that. But yeah, I would not pay this kind of money for Bitcoin. I mean, it's very high right now. It's insane, really, how high it is if you think about it. But hey, the word's starting to get out. The president talking about it. I think it's hilarious. And then that congressman comes out and says straight up, you can't kill it. You can't kill Bitcoin. All the king's horses and all the king's men, we can't kill it. He's a United States congressman, so that's pretty funny stuff. Let's see. Yep, I deeply regret not getting into Bitcoin years ago. Well, Tim, you might say the same thing 5 years from now. You might say, I deeply regret not getting into Bitcoin now. I mean, you can jump in any time. Of course, this is not financial advice, but if I didn't already own at least one Bitcoin, I would make sure I owned at least one Bitcoin. Just now, again, if you've got any debt at all, if you don't have a solid financial foundation, I wouldn't recommend any speculative investment. Get all your debts paid and all first. But once you do all that, I definitely would own one Bitcoin. That's what I do. I own a lot more than one, but I would own at least one. Let's see. I love subs also, one of my favorite watches in my collection. Yeah, the only thing is I just don't like that super case. I would pass on the super case. Vertex watches have an incredible story. Well, there you go. Got to head home from the office now, gents. Have a great night. Blue Shirt Buddha on the road, in action, making things happen. How do I get an invitation to buy a Vertex? Oh, you have to get an invitation? Ricky Sullivan, Craig, why haven't you given Citizen watches some consideration? You seem to enjoy and admire the utility and quality offered by many Japanese-made products. We got to get Steve to do more on Citizen, because he's actually a Citizen dealer. And he did do a show talking about one of them, that ultra accurate one they have that's like 1 second a year or something. So I find them interesting. I think next time I get over to his shop, his store, I'll take a look at some of them. I don't think you can trump this, though, with any of them. I don't think you can trump this spring drive diver that I've got on my wrist right now. This thing is pretty freaking amazing. It's hard to beat this Grand Seiko titanium spring drive stunner. Hard to top that. Let's see here. How much tax do you deduct with sale of Bitcoin? Okay, Bitcoin it would be treated like any capital gain. So depending on how long you've had it, if you've had it more than a year, right, it would be a long-term capital gain. So depending on where you are and your tax rate and all that, you're going to pay a capital gains tax when you sell it. So there's that. Now, maybe at some point they'll get rid of that. There's talk about getting rid of that. The other thing is, like, it's gray area, but like if you bought something with it, right? I mean, chances are whoever you're buying something from, they're not going to report anything or whatever, right? And so a lot of people buy stuff with a Bitcoin and they never claim their capital gains, but technically I'm sure they're supposed to, but they don't, right? Like if I were to buy a watch from somebody with Bitcoin, right? I mean, they're not going to report it to anybody. I'm not going to report it to anybody, so why would there be any tax, right? So there's that. Never heard of Citizen. Yeah, they're fantastic. The Citizen makes some good stuff. I'm an avid viewer and subscriber to your channel and very much enjoy your content. However, I was a bit disheartened yesterday when I Googled your name in search of your website. I saw a link from Frederick News Channel with a story about some controversial. Yeah, I did a video talking about that. It's a total hatchet job article with pretty much no truth to it. You can go back and look at the video that I did where I talked about it. Basically, they're a competitor of ours, and they were trying to drive us out of business, and that was their last shot at trying to do that. So there were no inappropriate websites. To this day, there are no inappropriate websites. There were no inappropriate photos. To this day, there are no inappropriate photos. So they tried to spin it in such a way that made me look really bad, and they were somewhat successful in doing that. Power of the pen can be powerful, but fortunately they are gone. They went out of business, and they were bought out for pennies on the dollar, and my business survives. So there's that. They also acted like I wasn't press. I'm not press, but they are. Frederick.com is not press, but they are. I cover more events than they've ever covered. I put more videos up, more photos up from events all around the county than they've ever covered. So to act like I'm not press, and then they also made a big deal out of the fact that I had the Segway there, and at one football game, the coach said I had to take the Segway away because it was kind of distracting, right? Everybody wanted to ride the Segway, and that's what happens at any event that I go to. They all want to ride the Segway, right? So he asked me to leave because I had the Segway there, and people wanted to ride it. It had nothing to do with the photos. But in the article, they structured the article so that they made it look like I was kicked out of there because I was taking inappropriate photos, right? And then, of course, when they went and they asked some parents about the cheerleader photos, they asked some parents, and the way they asked the question was, do you know that this person was taking photos of the cheerleaders and putting them up on inappropriate websites? Oh, no, we didn't know that. Of course we didn't know that, blah, blah, blah. You know, and here's the deal. There are no inappropriate websites. First of all, what's the definition of an inappropriate website, right? All my content is G-rated. On all my Flickr photos, on my Flickr photo group, they're all G-rated, right? They could all be in People magazine from 40 years ago, right? Every single one of them. And so, they manufactured that whole article. And they interviewed me, and they put like 2 lines from me in the article, right? Of course, they, left out a lot of what I said. But yeah, they did a really, really nasty hatchet job. And the only thing that saved me locally here in Frederick County is, first of all, there was never any investigation, okay? The school system never did any investigation. The sheriff's office never did any investigation. I know the sheriff. I'm friends with the sheriff, right? I have many photos of the sheriff at events and so on and so forth. And so there was no investigation at all. And then the most popular radio show, afternoon radio show here, Blaine Young's show at the time, they talked about it, and a bunch of people called in that know me, that know how I cover events and the photos I take and all that. And they were all like, we love his work. We love what he does. He promotes events here like nobody else. And so so it kind of backfired on them a little bit here locally in the community. But of course, they leave the article up. They never take any articles down. They're not going to do that. And even the new owners, which they're out of town, they're from West Virginia, the new owners of the Frederick News Post, they're not going to take anything down. So of course they leave that up. But it is what it is. You can't really do anything about it because there aren't any. there's not any clear libel in there. They worded it carefully enough to give them enough wiggle room that it's not straight up libel, but it's very misleading and very just very misleading. So there you go. So that's how that works, Rocky. When people attack you, especially a competitor, they can come out with the venom. Let's see. The thing that's cool about the super accurate Citizen is that it's solar powered. That's really the main advantage. See, I don't see that as an advantage. I see that as more failure points. I actually had a solar powered Seiko that I returned to. I did a review on my channel here of it, that I ended up returning to Costco. I bought it at Costco, and it failed after 6 months. It started giving trouble, and it failed, and so I returned it. See, I look at things like that as more possibility of failure. The more complicated the watch is, if it's going to be battery powered, if you will, if it's going to have a capacity or battery or whatever, I'd rather just replace the battery every 3 years, like the 9F. You try to charge it with solar energy and all that, and that's just more complication. Now with this, the beauty of this is it's the wrist movement that winds this watch. And so there's no battery, there's no capacitor. It's powered by the mainspring. So this is really genius. If you want something that is extremely robust, that's going to go for decades without opening up the case, no batteries to replace or anything, very little to really fail, extremely robust design and construction, you want to go with the spring drive. So that's the way I would go with that. But no, I would say the Citizen does not have any advantage over the 9F. I would give the 9F the advantages as far as being more robust, a simpler design, and just a higher quality overall. I'd give it all to the 9F. Let's see. First a year versus 5. Wait. First a year versus 5 a year really doesn't matter for practical reasons, though. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Do you drink alkaline water? I just drink this. This water comes out of the tap. We've got really good wells here. So the water is pretty good. So it's been tested and everything. And this just comes right out of the tap, the water that I'm drinking right now. So it does have some minerals in it and all that. It's pretty good. Pretty good stuff. Bitcoin's at $10,600 right now. $10,600 after that pump today. Amazing to watch. Okay, let's see what else we have. That's a fair argument too. Nice thing about the 9F is that all the important parts are sealed for battery change. That's just one of the nice things. There's a whole laundry list of reasons why it's a very robust movement. 1 second a year versus 5 seconds a year. Okay, I get you. Yeah, exactly. And mine's rated at 10 seconds a year, and mine is doing better than that right now. It looks like it's going to come in at maybe 4 seconds a year if it keeps running at the rate it's running. So yeah, that's plenty accurate enough. Thanks for addressing that, Craig. I did not know you already made a video about that issue, so thanks for clearing it up. Yeah, just search on my channel, Frederick News Post, and yeah, I talked about it. But you know, you're going to have, when you're in the public, and yes, I cover a lot of events. I take a lot of photos of attractive females at the events, because guess what? Those generate traffic, and who doesn't want to see attractive people, right, in photographs? Now, I could go out of my way, since 2/3 of it, I wouldn't even have to go out of my way. I could focus on taking photos of obese, unattractive people at all the events that I cover. I could do that. That could be a thing, right? But I choose to photograph more often than not the attractive people at the events that I cover. So if you don't like seeing photos of attractive people at events, and by the way, they all know I'm taking their pictures. I'm clearly labeled as who I am. I'm there from Frederick.com. I'm covering the event for Frederick.com. I even give them my cards and tell them where they can download their photos from. Right? So it's very clear who I am and what I'm doing. And some of them say they don't want to have their picture taken. I say, okay, fine. I don't take their picture. Simple as that. If they don't want their picture taken, I don't take it. If I'm down at Siesta Beach in Sarasota at my place down in Florida, I'm taking pictures of people at the beach, at the drum circle and so on. You know, Audrey Scher, extremely attractive. You know, they need to know that I'm doing it. I'm not going to take some paparazzi long lens or something and take surreptitious photos of them from 50 yards away. I'm walking right up and taking pictures and asking them, do you mind if I take your picture? And a lot of times they're posing and so on and so forth. And that's what I do. And they love it. They love the photos because they're taking shaky cell phone photos that look terrible. And then I take a photo that looks decent. Here, I'll show you some I took yesterday at the Chamber of Commerce event. Oh, speaking of Audrey, here's one that... Here's Audrey Scher. Yeah, I would say that you could make the argument that she's attractive, right? And there you go. That's at Siesta Beach. That's actually when we met in 2012, when Audrey and I met. So there you go. All right, so let me show you some photos that I took yesterday. Yesterday at the Chamber of Commerce event. Let me pull them up here on the laptop. Okay, this was an event at in Brunswick. It was the Frederick County Chamber of Commerce and the Brunswick Chamber did a event together. Now you can see that's an attractive couple there that I took their picture. And they look good. They're smiling and so forth. There's some more attractive people at the event, all smiling and having a good time. There's some more folks, right? So yeah, I take pictures of attractive people, all right, more often than not. And I share them. This is my Flickr photos, but these are also on the Frederick County Facebook page, facebook.com/Frederick County. And I can show you that too. Let's see. Let's go here. Okay, here is the Frederick County Facebook page. This is loading in still. Okay, and that's facebook.com/Frederick County. You can see the URL there. And these things are still loading. They load kind of slow. And there's a video that I did with Kate at LifeWell Medical Fitness. She's extremely attractive, and she's in the video. So yeah, if they don't want to see attractive people having fun at events, then they probably shouldn't follow my channel. And by the way, here's some extremely attractive young ladies at the Barbara Fritchie Classic.
If you enjoyed this video, we'd appreciate it if you like, comment, and share.
Well, here we are. It's the 4th of July in Frederick, Maryland. You know, I don't care what year it is because it's the 98th year for the Barbara Fritchie Classic.
There you go.
As she
I would
rolls
call them
on
extremely attractive.
as a tradition that is almost on.
That's just me. Yeah, if they don't want to see attractive people having fun, and if they think that's inappropriate, then they shouldn't watch my videos. That's all. See, and that's the thing with this channel here too. If people don't like my content, which by the way is all family-friendly content, every single one of it, all of it, every bit of it, including Audrey hoop dancing, I think that's family-friendly. I'm a big fan of fitness and beauty. They don't have to watch. There are, I think at this point, millions of YouTube channels. I was going to say thousands, but I think it's in the millions. They got a lot of choices. A lot of choices. Rocky, get out of the chat. Don't question Craig. Maybe Rocky likes boys. Okay, now come on, folks. Let's not get nasty in here. Craig, keep taking pictures. Love your work. Sergio, there you go. Well, within your rights to take pictures of anyone in public place, don't understand why it justifies an explanation. Charles Moore. Well, here's the thing, Charles. I mean, I don't agree that, anybody in a public place is just fair game. Just take their picture and use it any way you like. I don't think that's respectful. I think that if somebody's performing at an event and they're performing for the public, for example, a cheerleader, right? I think that they expect to have their photo taken. And as long as it's a tasteful photo, okay, and it's not showing them having a wardrobe malfunction, right? As long as it's a tasteful photo, I think it's fine. Now, I think people in general at an event, in other words, not the performer, not the football player or the cheerleader or whatever, just a person that's there, if I were to just take their picture and not ask them or whatever, and then use it on my website and so on and so forth, I just don't think that's respectful. So I always ask first, hey, do you mind if I take your photo? You all look great today, whatever. And 9 times out of 10, they say yes and they love it. And they're flattered and they're happy to have their photo taken. Occasionally, I will have somebody say, no, I'd rather you not take my photo. And then I respect that. So I think it's a good practice to ask people. There's plenty of people that are happy to have their picture taken. Let's see here. Craig has 35,000 followers, a lot of whom non-horological normal people. Okay, normal people. Okay. We're the horological weirdos. There you go. It seems to me Craig integrates well within his community and is contributing by being the person who captures quality photos of the events. Charles Moore in the house making a constructive, positive comment. Well, there you go. Well, here's the thing, and this is how this whole thing started, was when I started Frederick.com back 20 years ago, I was the first company in the area, if you will, to take photos of businesses and put them up on the internet. All the other websites just had name, address, and phone number, like the Chamber of Commerce, all the other websites. There weren't that many of them. There was the newspapers, well, they had a website, and they would put name, address, and phone number of a business up there. Maybe a logo, maybe at the most. I was the first one to go around with a digital camera and take pictures, multiple pictures of the business, and put it up in the business directory on Frederick.com. That's how the whole thing started, because I was a photographer by trade. And so it started with basically a directory, of local businesses. And then what happened was I learned that these parades and different events that they were having, I'm like, they're putting on this beautiful parade. All these people are working their butts off to get all dressed up and do this parade and perform and all this. And I can just go there and shoot photos. Back in the day, it wasn't video, it was just photos. And put them up on the website, and that will draw traffic to the website, which will then get more views for my businesses that are paying to be listed on the website in the business directory. So it was a traffic generator for me. And I would give out cards and all and tell people they could go there and get their pictures. And this was back when nobody had cell phones or anything, to take photos with or anything. And so they were tickled pink to have a nice photo of them at the event that they could go and get, right, from Frederick.com. And so I did that for years. And then video came around, and I'm like, hell, I can shoot video of the parades and different events and things like that and put it up. And I can put it up on the Frederick County Facebook page, which I created. And again, generate traffic and promotion for these sponsors. And I'll play a little bit more of this video for Fredericktown Yamaha, which is a longtime sponsor, to kind of show you what I mean. Let me play a little bit more of Richard Riley here.
Stoppable. People were concerned about the weather. Right now we got some pretty blue skies. It's nice and warm, and we've run through the heats here, and the practice, and we're getting ready for the heats. I want to thank all my good friends, Ron Ibeck, Fredericktown Triumph, Fredericktown Yamaha, Twig Indian, our folks at 811, our friends at Washington Gas. We've got Dutro's Honda, Ryder Insurance, always key people that help us continue to promote this operation. The community is such a great help. It is an effort almost second to none in that we pull together from all sides of the community. Our friends at Frederick.com continue to post this out to the world. Our friends at WTHU are live on the internet. So
yeah, he's been a sponsor for the whole 20 years. He's been with us since day one, Richard Riley. Let's see here. Watch Doctor, we love watches. We are not normal. Okay. Archie loves watches. He's not normal. There you go. Craig, are you or do you want to be a political professional in your state town? Heck no. No way. I mean, first of all, I'd take a big pay cut. And the beauty of owning Frederick.com and having the Frederick County Facebook page, and I have at Frederick County on Twitter, and I have at City of Frederick on Twitter, is basically I own the whole county, if you will, without having to be reelected every 3, 4, 5 years, 6 years, whatever, right? I'm just permanently ensconced in doing what I do, and the businesses love it, and they pay me handsomely to do what I do. And so, yeah, I don't have to be reelected. I would be tickled pink if Bitcoin really takes off and that kind of neuters the local government and the politicians and all, because, see, the money is where they get their power, is from the money, controlling the money, right? We take that control away from them, they'll be a little bit neutered. And I think in the private sector, I think we can do a better job of everything that they're doing. There used to be a guy here in Frederick County, an old-time Republican, that said often, he said, you know, if it's in the yellow pages, the government shouldn't be doing it. Because if you think about it, the government and nonprofits, I'll lump them into this discussion. Nonprofits are basically an arm of the government, right? They're anointed by the government. They get all these tax breaks and all this, and a lot of them get like grants and, you know, taxpayers' dollars, right, to help sustain them. Like, for example, the Chamber of Commerce. And so they're quasi-government organizations. And so a lot of these organizations and nonprofits and all, they do things that other for-profit businesses do. So they compete with them. So the government ends up competing with the private businesses. And that's not right. That's not good. So, yeah, don't get me started on on government. Oh, boy. That would be something. Let me see here. I got a bunch of notifications here on Facebook. Let me see if there's anything important here that I have to drop everything and deal with. Just a bunch of people liking the photos. Liking the photos from yesterday. Just a bunch of people. Commenting on the links and all that good stuff. A lot of action. A lot of action on the Frederick County Facebook page going on right now. What are the current issues in your county that you are concerned with at the moment? Charles Moore. I think I just went into it. I think government growth is always a problem. This county, the state of Maryland is highly Democratic out towards Baltimore and all that. Frederick County has always been a little more Republican, but it's starting to turn blue as well. And so Government spending is always a big problem. They're spending $500 million on the school system, the public school system here in Frederick County. And if I had a school-aged child right now, they wouldn't be going to the Frederick County public schools. I can tell you that right now. There's drugs in there, everything. I mean, it's just a mess. I think if I had my way, we'd shut them all down and we'd give that money back to the parents and let them send the kids to private schools. I think we'd have just private schools in the county, no government schools. The government schools are not efficient. They don't do a good job. They're a mess. Now, that would be a highly unpopular position, right? So you can see why I would never run for political office, because that would not fly. Oh my God, get rid of the public schools. We want the free schools. See, they think that they're free. They don't understand. They're not free. It's a $500 million budget here in Frederick County. They're not free. That money would be much better spent on private schooling, in my opinion. So there we go. That's how that all works. Perfect daily watch and perfect daily car. Perfect daily watch in the summertime is this Grand Seiko titanium diver. No doubt in my mind, for summertime, this is the perfect unit. Perfect car, for me right now, it's my Prius. The Prius is working out great because I can put the Segway in the back, I can put all my camera gear in the back, I can park it anywhere, yet it still rides very nice, it's quiet. So yeah, the Prius works great. And mine's a 2004 Prius. It's in great shape, garage kept since new. Rolex plus taxi cab, there you go. There's a man that wants to go in the taxi, or an Uber maybe. The Moonwatch live stream is going to be interesting later this week. Andrew in the house. Yeah, that's Steve is doing that, folks. Make sure that you click the subscribe and click the bell so that you can get notified when he goes live. I think is it 4 o'clock on Saturday? He scheduled it for? I think 4 o'clock on Saturday, but it's already set up. Are you happy with anything Donald Trump is doing or has done? Charles Moore. I think he's governed fairly conservative. In this day and age, I think that the president has very little control over things. I think that there are a lot of money people in behind the scenes that control things more than whoever happens to be in office. But I think he's governed as conservatives as we can hope for. I think he wants to spend way too much money on military. Most conservatives love the idea of spending a whole bunch of money on military. I don't buy into that. I think it's ridiculous. I think we've got way more power than we need right now. And I think if there ever was a big threat, we could scale up just like we did for World War II. We scaled up very rapidly and went from building cars to building tanks and all that. I mean, we don't need to be scaled up all the time, in other words. I mean, we're building a bunch of new aircraft carriers that are insanely expensive. Nobody's really threatening us anywhere. We have no real threats in the world militarily. We have economic threats, and we have cyber crime type threats, but nothing that we need a X billion-dollar aircraft carrier for. I mean, it's insane, the money that we're spending. But that would not be popular at all, right, saying that. Oh, my God, you're going to cut the military, right? That would not be popular at all. But I think everything could be cut in the federal government. I think there's a huge amount that could be cut, and we'd be doing just fine. I'm a firm believer in us doing for ourselves, not government doing for us. But that's just me. I'm funny that way. Why do you think I like Bitcoin? I'm a big believer they didn't go to the moon. I hope I haven't started a massive argument. That's a good question, as whether or not they actually went to the moon. I think they probably did, but who knows? Are you happy with anything? Okay, I already answered that. Vermont watches, please. Let's review some watches. There you go. Ask Steve. We just did, Lewis. Steve just did 2 Vermont shows. He even had the guy from Vermont on. Did you watch those? Go back and watch them if you didn't watch them. And then interact with his shows on Saturday. He's going to be talking about it on Saturday. Put any other comments in here because I'm going to wrap up here pretty quick. I'm getting hungry. When I get hungry, I start getting a little bit mean. So let me just start this back up again here. Make sure that I'm up to date on these comments. Okay, I think I'm up to date on the comments. Let me know, folks, if there is anything that that you want to comment on here before we wrap up. Otherwise, we are going to wrap this puppy up. Agreeing your point of view about military spending. Carlos in the house agreeing with my point of view. Yeah, I mean, think about it. If we spent that money on technology and on beefing up our defenses as far as cyber crimes and things like that, I think that would make a lot more sense. And not spend as much. Spend less. Hungry. So everybody, thanks for watching. If you think Maryland is in bad shape, think about Florida. No, Florida is more conservative than Maryland. Florida has no state income tax. I have a place in Florida, and I love Florida. I love to winter down there. I wouldn't like to be there in the summer, but down there in the winter, it's absolutely gorgeous. I love Florida. Sarasota, man, it is freaking fantastic. And yeah, I think it's in better shape than Maryland, to tell you the truth. Just saying. All right, we're going to wrap this puppy up. Thanks again, everybody, for watching. Oh, there's one more comment in here. Pleasure, Craig. So cool to be able to hear an American's view of America on these live streams. Well, sure thing, Charles. Well, thank you very much.